Hi, my name is Jason Sulliman, and this is the second of 3 brief videos with tips for better breathing. Today I'd like to discuss the Wim Hof method as well as alternate nostril breathing. And rather than take you through these like the video I did last time, I'm just going to provide some information as well as some links. The Wim Hof method is very well laid out on his website, and there are some wonderful YouTube videos that you can go along to and breathe along with. Alternating nostril breathing, that's something that we can do a little bit of in this video, but I just wanted to describe the methods and maybe a little bit of background as to why they're so beneficial. So if you go to www.wimhofmethod.com, you can find all sorts of information about this particular method. But basically there are 4 steps. The first step is just get into a comfortable position. This could be seated, lying down, standing, whatever works for you. And once you're in that position, if you use one of the videos, it's very simple because you just go along with it, but basically you're going to take 30 to 40 deep breaths. And you're not trying to stretch and make it a very physically taxing exercise. You're basically just trying to take a breath, breathe in fully in a very relaxed manner. So you do that about 30 to 40 times. You'll probably get a little bit of tingling or lightheadedness as you are over-oxygenating your bloodstream in this process. Step 3 is then the hold, and that's where you hold your breath. And the videos that I've seen start you with a minute and maybe a minute 15, go up to a minute and 30. But you can just pause the video and hold longer as you get more comfortable when you have some experience doing it. But the holding of the breath is a very important part of the process. And then the last step is there's just one big recovery breath to bring everything kind of back to a level of homeostasis. Now this process is not too different from hardening of a plant. When you start with a little seedling and you have it inside some kind of maybe indoor space in a pot, and then the plant grows, eventually you have to put the plant outside to harden it. And this is where we expose the plant to the elements, the wind, the rain, etc., maybe temperature fluctuations that are greater. And then the plant, as a response to these slightly more challenging environmental conditions, the plant then gets stronger and grows stronger. Well, the same thing happens with our body. Basically, what you're doing is you're creating a slight change in the pH level of your bloodstream. You make it slightly alkaline, and you essentially starve your body of oxygen. You essentially stop the flow of oxygen into the tissues, and that's called hypoxia. But you're doing it in a very small and very controlled way. The body then strengthens as a response to this kind of starvation of oxygen. You can have an increased production of red blood cells. You can have an increased lung capacity. Your metabolism can have improvements, and there are also some neurological benefits that can happen with different neurotransmitters that then start to get released into the body. And so that can change the way that you focus, that can change dopamine receptors, all sorts of good things kind of come as a response. So if you go to YouTube, if you search Wim Hof method, all of these videos will pop up. They're basically 10 to 11 minutes. The video on the top is 11 minutes. And what it does is it takes you through 3 cycles of about 30 breaths, then the holding of the breath, then the recovery breath, and then you do that again. And I highly recommend this. It takes about 10 or 11 minutes, but if you do this once a day, you'll be amazed at the benefits that you have over the long term. So check that out. Really great stuff. And I tip my hat to Wim Hof for putting this out there, and it's basically free. So take advantage of it, and you can really kind of change your life. Now, the other thing I wanted to talk about today is alternating nostril breathing. Now, all of the hemispheres of our brain, the left brain and the right brain, sometimes this gets oversimplified, and this graphic is somewhat of an oversimplification of what happens. And our left brain and right brain aren't completely separate. There's a lot of different types of ipsilateral and contralateral pathways kind of in between that go through something called the corpus callosum. But when we breathe through one of our nostrils, it is connected to one of the hemispheres of our brain more than the other. In fact, if you put your finger up to your nose, you may notice that there's one nostril that's doing more of the breathing right now. So The concept of alternating nostril breathing is where you do certain patterns of blocking one side of your nostril so that you're breathing through the other side of the nostril, which then activates certain hemispheric activity in your brain. Now, there's benefits from either side, but what you're doing is you're also kind of relaxing and maybe cutting down with the chatter that's in your brain. So this is a really great thing to do toward the end of the day. So maybe as you're winding down, you're going to bed, you're maybe sitting on your bed, and you're sitting up, and just to kind of wind down, you put your phone away from you, you turn the lights down low, and then you alternate your breaths. Now, it almost doesn't even matter which pattern you use. There are several patterns if you search for this online, but one pattern is just in through the left and then out through the right. So I'm going to block my right side so I breathe in through the left, and it'll look mirrored on the video, but you get the idea. So if I block one side, and then I'm going to exhale the other side. So that's an example of in one side, out the other side. Now, another thing that you can do is you can go in the right side, out the left side, in the left side, out the right side, and essentially, kind of make a rainbow. I imagine it as a rainbow pattern in terms of where I'm breathing. So I'll try to do the opposite so that maybe it looks correct on the video. But if we go in through the right. And that's an example of the in right, out left, in left, out right. So there's a lot of different patterns you can do, and you can just go in the left, out the left, in the left, out the left, or in the right, out the right, in the right, out the right. And some people recommend doing some form of alternation. So let's go in the left, out the left, and then we'll go in the right, out the right. Just like that. It's relatively simple. Now, if when you're sitting down or when you're winding down and you're about to go to bed, if you feel like your brain is still awake and still quite alive, you can try some of the delta waves and just have on some of that music or some relaxing yoga type music, whatever you like to use in the background. And if there is a certain nostril side that seems to be easier to breathe out of, that's probably connected to the hemisphere that's currently more active. So try to take a couple of breaths out of the nostril that is a greater challenge. Oh yeah, for me, the left side is a much easier breath right now. So I'm going to take a couple of breaths on the right side. And what that can do is that can slowly start to change activation in the different sides of your brain. It can reduce the chatter that's going on in your head, and it can kind of wind you down as you're ready to get some sleep. Because we all know that the better sleep we get, the more rested and recovered we are to handle the next day. So again, jasonsulliman.com. I've got several YouTube videos, and you'll be able to find these breathing videos on my YouTube channel, and I'll put links for them up on my website as well. But I hope this information is helpful for you, and happy breathing.